So this is BG Dollars back for another video. Now today we're discussing my two most recent investments. What have I invested in? Now the funny thing is, I'll actually let you know, I have no clue what I invested in. I have no clue about the companies. I have no clue about the financials of the companies. I couldn't even tell you what industry they're in, but I've invested in them. And you're probably thinking, BG Dollars, what the hell are you doing? What are you playing at? Well, I'll be going on to that in a minute to explain why I've invested in them. But first of all, let's just see how the markets performed today. And you had the S&P down 0.8%. So it wasn't a great day in the stock market overall. You had the Nasdaq here down 1.33%. So we were down terrible at the start though. We were down bad, and then we recovered, and then we just sold off a bit more to the close. So yeah, not great day in the markets. Of course, we've got some other stocks to go through. Apple there, look, down 1.68%. But again, look at this. We were down to 133, below 134 on Apple, and we climbed back up to 136, almost 137. So yeah, big gains throughout the day, but at the start it was looking very, very rough. DocuSign down 5.75%, you had Google down 2.33%, Microsoft down 1.2%, Qualcomm down 1%, so nothing was up, look. Autodesk down 2.6%, Nvidia down 2.3%. What else have you got? You got PayPal down 2.25%, Xpeng down. All of these were down today, all of them. And of course, it's a familiar occurrence, look. We were down big on everything right at the start. Around half an hour into the trading session, we were down big. Look, Square was down 3.67%. You had Amazon down 2.2%. You had Disney down 1.2%. Salesforce was down 3.2%. Meta was down 1.56%. But again, look, we crashed at the start. And I was actually trading, looking to get into my investments right at the start. And when I saw the market crashing, I was like, do I buy these stocks now or do I wait? But luckily, I built into the stocks, which I'll be getting onto, what ones I invested in. Don't you worry, stay patient. And do subscribe on that note. Subscribe, leave a like and comment. Maybe if you bought any stocks today, comment down below what stocks you bought today. But yeah, I did buy it 15 minutes into the trading session. So I bought around here, around like almost at the lows of the start of the day. Trade Desk down, you had Enphase up 5.8%, you know. Just because everything was down, I kept saying down, down, down. It was just wriggling off my tongue. But Enphase was up, look. Boom. So energy plays were up today then. You had Pinterest down 9%, Tesla down 1.58%. So not a big move there on Tesla. You've got Netflix down, Etsy down, and AMD down. So not too much. Risky whiskies. Let's move on to the risky whiskey porty. The portfolio there. StoneCo was down 4.7%. Now, of course, if you've been watching my channel, I recently got into StoneCo at around $8. I'll say around $8 I got into it. If we go on the weekly, yeah, I got in around here. There we are, look, $7.94, $8 one. Yeah, I got in just around here. And we're down to $7.07, but it's okay. It's okay. You know, that wasn't just a week sort of play. That was a few months, so we'll let the market play out. Corsair was down 2.37. You had Fastly down. GameStop was down. SunPower was up. So energies were up. Good day for the energy stocks then. You had Blue Apron up, look. AMC was only down 0.66 there. Recovered well during day. Canopy Growth got absolutely slammed today, down 17.71%. Of course, if it's a risk-off day, which today was risk-off in general, most stocks were down, then obviously Canopy Growth is going to get smashed, and it did, 17.7%. Roku down 5.5%. TDoc down 3.26%. You had Shopify down 5.4%. ARK was only down a third. Oh, look at that. It recovered big towards the end, you know, ARK. Jeez. Yeah, no, I saw a lot of stocks recover big towards the end. Lemonade was up almost 3%. Now, Funk's going to be loving life about that one. Yeah, Lemonade. You had Honest. Basically, no, I don't know why it's saying NA. Is that just flat? Basically, I'm just going to say it was flat. Just say it was flat. Hood was down 3%, but obviously it's recovered well. It was down to $6, wasn't it? Let's go on the monthly chart. Yeah, we were down to $6.88 and we've gone up to $8. So good moves there on the Hood. It's about 15-20% up from where it was. But of course, yeah, down today. Alibaba was down. Rocket Companies was up. So strange one that. Real estate maneuver was up today. Don't see why. If there was any positive news, I must have missed. But yeah, Virgin Galactic was up. Tattooed Chef was down. You had Toast down, you had Affirm down. So yeah, nothing much more in the risky whiskies. Obviously, the cryptos were down. You got SoFi down. Smile Direct Club was up. Coinbase was down. Got hammered right at the start there and climbed back up. It actually increased by about 10% from the bottom to the top there. So big moves there on Coinbase, but we sort of petered out and ended on $47.19 there, which was down 5.1%. Is there any point going through the safeties? I'm just going to whiz through it, and if there's any big movers, I'll let you know. If there ain't, Procter & Gamble up over a percentage. Big rise there on P&G. Let's just... Oh, Pfizer was up 3% today. Big move for Pfizer. Healthcare play. Costco up 2.25%. That's a decent move for Costco, considering most stocks were down. United Parcels, meh. So yeah, that's about it. Macy's was down 2.5%. So that's about it. Right, now let's move on to what stocks I actually invested in. And they're on the Risky Whiskies, on my Risky Whiskey watch list. And they are indeed, wait for it, Roku. And you're probably thinking, why the hell have you done it? And as I said, I couldn't tell you anything about this stock. Couldn't tell you anything about it. I don't know what it is, what it does. So you're thinking, well, exactly as I said earlier, why have you invested in it, BG Dollars? Well, I've invested in it purely because on a macro sort of level, in terms of the data and the analysis, and I'll be showing you all this in a minute, but from a macro perspective, I think the markets are far too oversold. I think the S&P 500 is going to bounce back, and I think stocks in general are going to bounce back, and I just found the most risk-on stocks I can invest in now for that bounce back, and Roku was one of them. So I don't know anything about the stock. From a macro perspective, I think the markets will go up, and I've bought a risk-on stock for that, so I get bigger gains. And that's all I've done. And I invested in Roku today. And I invested also in Shopify. And they were my two stocks. And it was about 15 minutes into the trading session. I invested around about here on Shopify. Yeah, I think it was around $32 on Shopify. And Roku, I invested around the 83 mark. Or was it the 84? I think it was there around the 84 mark. So I'm slightly down on both of them. But look, it's all right. It's all right. It's a few months play, all right? It's a July, it's an August, it's a September play. All right, this is a couple of months that I'm going to be waiting. So we'll have to see if the markets do turn around. But yeah, let's have a look. This is one of my reasons why I think the markets will rebound. And if you can't see it because of my my picture in the bottom left, I'll just scroll up for you. So no worries about that. But the S&P 500, look, it's had an awful start to the year, hasn't it? Awful. Worst start since 1970. Worst start since 1970. Worst first half of the year since 1970. That's big news. That, you know, that ain't like, we're not talking like just 10 years ago. We're not talking like, oh, in the 20 years or something like that. We're talking like 50 years, 52 years. The worst performance, like, wow, you've got to stop and think about that one. But of course, look, let's just read this. Look, S&P 500. The picture looks much brighter for the S&P 500 when looking at its second half performance. Of course, when the index is down at least 15% in the first half, so we know the S&P 500 is down, I think, around 23% for the first half of this year. Worst start since 1970. And this little chart here is just the second half of the year performance in percentage change. So the index produced gains in all 5 instances. So look, every time the stock market was down below 15% in the first 6 months, we always saw a gain in the next 6 months. And this data goes back to the Great Depression. So we've got a big long list there of big, trustworthy data that we can go back and look. And look, as you can see, 1970, there we are. Look, the worst start we've had since 1970. In 1970, it was only slightly worse than this year. But look at that, we came 26.51% back in the second half of the year from the first half. So that was an awful start to the year, but a very big end to the year. That was a big bull run right at the end there. And 1962, 15% up. 1940, 6%. 1939, 15%. And you can see for yourselves, look, the average is 23.66% up in the second half of the year. The median is 15.25% up in the second half of the year. So you can see that the S&P 500 does very well in the second half of the year when it's down for the first half, above 15%. And of course, we are down. We're in the bear market territory, aren't we? We're down like 22, 23%. So that's one bit of news. Second bit of news that I think is that the market's so oversold. We're seeing stocks getting hammered. We're seeing Shopify down like 77% year to date. We're seeing big growth stocks getting absolutely obliterated in this kind of market. And you're thinking, what the hell? At some point, buyers are going to have to step in. We're also seeing yields start to fall. Now, that could be a rotation from investors out of bonds to stocks. Who knows, of course, I could be wrong. But I'm willing to make a play on it, which is why I've invested in my two stocks, which are very, very risk on, Roku and Shopify. And that's why I've invested in them. Nothing to do with the company, just purely on data, purely on macro, purely on I think the market will go up second half of the year, and I'm investing in a risk on asset. So that is why I've invested in them too. Another reason why I think that the markets will go up is because I think inflation will come down in June. I personally believe it will. Not by a lot. I don't think it's going to come down a lot. I think we're still going to see early 8 percentage marks. I think we're going to see like an 8.3 or an 8.4% on inflation. Now, of course, the month has only just ended. And as you can see in bottom right, look, we are just past midnight, 10 past midnight. So we are officially in July now. So, yeah, well done. June was a terrible month for stocks, but we got through it. We got through it in the end. But yeah, inflation, I think it'll be down for June because we've recently had oil come down. Let's have a look at the oil chart. Let's go for crude. So yeah, as you can see for crude oil, we are down massively for the month of June. Here is the start of June. So we started at around 115 bucks. Of course, we rose up a bit, early 120s. But yeah, around the 10th of June, so just early to mid-June, boom, we dropped. We dropped big. We hit 101 bucks on oil. That's quite a big drop, and there should have been a drop at the pumps, and that should have inflected inflation downwards. Of course, we had a little rise, and then we're falling back again. And yeah, so in general, the average cost for June was a lot lower in terms of oil pricing than it was in May. So that's positive for inflation, number one. Number two, you've had big retailers come out and say, look, we've got huge inventory, and the demand just ain't there. We're seeing consumers, the consumer confidence was down. We're seeing consumers say, look, we're having cost of living issues. Of course, we can't pay for the bills. We can't pay for the rising interest rates on our credit cards, on our loan repayments, on our mortgage repayments. The rising costs, obviously, in petrol. So we can't spend money at shops. We can't buy our clothes we want to buy. We can't buy the fancy tech. We can't buy iPads, iPhones, all this, that. We can't buy furniture, tables, chairs, sofas, beds, whatever it might be. We can't buy it because we ain't got the money. Our money is going on food. Our money is going on to live. Our money is going on petrol to get to work. Our money is going on bills. That's the bottom line to it. And these big retailers like your Costco's, like your, what other big retailers? Like your Walmarts. Walmart was a big one. And they all came out and said, look, we've got big inventory. We've got a lot of items that we need to get rid of. And we can't find the buyers to buy it. So we're going to have to start putting prices down. Until somebody buys it, we're going to have to put prices down and down and down. And there we are, again, inflation coming down. So I think June is going to be a very good month for inflation. I personally believe that inflation is going to come lower. But I've still got to do some analysis on that. So I'll be making a video when we come closer to June's inflation CPI report in July. So please do subscribe and look out for that one. So that is why I went risk on. That is why I invested in the two stocks. 1, inflation. 2, markets oversold. 3, good performance in the second half of the year. And yeah, I've decided to put my money where my mouth is and buy into Roku and Shopify. They're my two investments. So if you did enjoy today's video, please do like, subscribe, comment if you bought any stocks. I'd love to know them and give my opinion on those sorts of stocks. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one, people.